For this last video, I'm going to show another way to search for data in the New York State GIS Clearinghouse, searching by keyword or by theme in this case. And the two data sets that will also be useful are large culverts as well as bridges. There's also small culverts, and that's a whole nother game that one of you will have to deal with in a few weeks. But at least we'll get bridges and large culverts. And what is a large culvert different from a small culvert? We will see that when we look at what's called the metadata with the particular file. So let's go ahead and do this other type of search. For these type of things, I'll demonstrate the search by theme topic, and bridges and culverts both have to do with roads, so they end up under transportation. So we'll go ahead and search, and let's see what we come up with. There's a convenient tool that you may know about that'll work here, and that's Control F, which gives me a search box, and then I don't have to read and look. I can just type in culverts, and there's New York State large culverts, and that would be a span between 5 and 20 feet. So if the thing under the road is 5 feet wide and up to 20 feet, it's called a large culvert. And if it's bigger than 20 feet, no matter what it's shaped like, if the span is more than 20 feet, it would be called a bridge. Less than 5 feet, of which there are many, usually a corrugated metal pipe, we'll have a look at that at another time. So let's go to data set details. It's an open data set, covers all of New York State. So we'll just go ahead and download it, and it's there. So why don't I go ahead and point out another little twist here. It only comes to us as what's called a GeoDatabase, GDB. So we've had good luck finding shapefiles for stuff, and those are warm and cozy. GDBs are also very usable. So in order to use this, it's in a zip archive, and I'm only looking at the name of it. It's not actually unpacked yet until I do something such as copy, find my stuff folder. There's my stuff folder, and paste it. So I can go ahead and paste it in there, and now that GeoDatabase is stashed right there in my stuff folder. And for some reason or another, it doesn't want to let go of that lock file. I probably have to reboot the computer before it releases that. Anyway, the New York State culverts, just to show you, a GeoDatabase is made up of lots and lots and lots of completely obscure subparts. We don't want to break out those subparts. We don't want to copy them or anything else. A GeoDatabase travels. It looks like a folder, but it's really a single thing. It travels all by itself. And so I just took it. I didn't even look into it. It's too scary. So we're just going to take it as a GeoDatabase, plop it in the stuff folder, and let's have a look and see if it's actually meaningful in the way that we want it to be. And there it is. It looks a little different when you load it. It's a canister or a can. If I click on it and add it, it'll point out that there's a subfile, in this case only one, and it dates it for me, and I click away, and there are all the major culverts in the state of New York. That's handy as heck. There's all kinds of things now I could do. I could extract only the culverts inside of our watershed. I could convert this to a shapefile format. Most anything that I could want to do, I can go ahead and do. For the moment, though, I'm going to only declare it as a good file. I'm going to clear this. I'm going to declare that it's a good file. I'm going to go over to my folder where we're storing these things and ask it to upload a whole folder. And see if I can find it again. Desktop. Somewhere in there is stuff. And there is the GeoDatabase. and I can go ahead and save it there. And it's not that big, so it'll load pretty quickly. So there's the New York State DOT large culverts, and that's almost done. So why don't we pop back to the New York State GIS Clearinghouse, which is here, and we will do one more search on, oh, this is all transportation, so I can do the Control F again, and there was another transportation related data set, and that is bridges. So we can also go look for bridges, and there is such a data set, and click on it, and it is also a GeoDatabase. And I'm just going to go right, well, no, I'm going to be a good person. I'm going to copy it into stuff and use ArcMap to once again have a look at it and see that it looks very good as well. It's funny, there seems to be more bridges than large culverts, so it's quite a lot of those. So again, it's good. I'm going to close ArcMap without saving anything because I didn't do any work on a project. I didn't need to make a map product. I didn't want to take a snapshot. I didn't want to build up symbology. I didn't want to put a bunch of layers in. I wasn't interested. I'm only interested in exploring data at the moment. So what I'm going to do then is go back over to this and say upload folder to the view of Windows and Google Drive. A personal GeoDatabase looks like a folder, so it can be handled as such, and you can tell that by looking at the icon. So go with bridges and say OK. And I also noticed that somebody already beat me to civil divisions, so now there's two versions. So now we have civil divisions, bridges, culverts, parcels, and somebody else did stream gauges already, so saved us all a bit of work. So all the data sets that we wanted to find this week and that we wanted to check over and verify and unpack and save away are here. And soon in the future, we'll cut all these back. We'll trim them, we'll cookie cutter them, we'll select them, whatever's appropriate for the type of data, and clip them to the extent of the Northrop Creek watershed. But that's another job. I also wanted to show you one other thing that I'd like to be looking at this week, and that is in this in the drive, our folder drive. That's the dataset folder that we just looked at. There's also some suggestions, I think, not yet. There's some suggestions. He's probably working on this at the moment. There's also some suggestions in a file here in which several of you have looked at the Monroe County Soil and Water Conservation District and looked at what type of things water conservation, soil conservation, watershed science people do in the real world to help the public. And by looking that over, several of you have already made a few suggestions. Urban issues, stormwater, where the stormwater in towns and villages are. It's pretty good. We have those data sets already. Agricultural districts and streams. Kind of put those together and see if which agricultural districts are close to our stream. These are good ideas right here. And what I think I'd like to see by maybe Tuesday, maybe by Wednesday, is 17 more. And then there's also another document in here as well called More Data Sites, which I guess everybody's too scared to look at. But oh, that's right. I received a number of these by email already. But there's I wanted you to look around and pick another data set that you stumbled upon or you found by exploring or were curious about that you think might also be useful for our project. But all I want you to do is just type away here that Another interesting data set might be wildlife, and that's the extent of that. And hopefully you've seen it, so you know it's there. I think there's a wildlife data set there, habitat data set. So those are the other two things I'd like you to do, and that will catch us up and catch us up for the whole week.